See, now we should probably start the show. See, everything you heard before was probably a warm-up. I got thousands of songs we could do. I could be here till 5 o'clock in the fucking morning. Don't give a fuck. Just like, you know, like crazy. So that real hip-hop is over.
If you guys see from the title, this is the Lupe, Tetsuo Youth album review. Yay! And sorry I haven't had the physical copies of these albums recently. It's just I'm low on money. That's really the biggest reason I'm low on money. So I haven't been able to have the physical copies, but definitely once I get the money to buy the albums, I will. I just recently picked up Prime this morning, so trying to, I guess, catch up with the albums that I don't have the physical copies. This one, I have a lot of shit to say, so it might seem like I'm speeding through this, but just bear with me. This is Lupe's 5th album. You know, he put out Food and Liquor 2, The Cool, all that other shit. This album wasn't even supposed to be dropped. Lupe and the label, you know, Atlantic, have been butting heads really, I guess, publicly since Lasers. It really wasn't until Anonymous threatened to hack CEO and all the executives and associates that they put out a release date on Twitter 23 hours after that. I think Atlantic did try and do him a little bit dirty by dropping it on the same day that Joey Badass came out. But Lupe already said that he didn't really care about the numbers that this album did, so I think he's just happy that at least that it came out. He even said that when it leaked, he was just happy that it was out. Lupe is one of those artists that is extremely conceptual and cryptic. Unless he's being really direct with you, there's always some sort of underlying theme or message, usually with Lupe, and it takes multiple listens to get an idea of what he's talking about, at least for me. And sometimes fans do get caught up and try and correlate everything that happens at the album with this and that and the other. So I didn't want to get too caught up in trying to do that. He is great lyricist. I really do like Lupe, but it's not like everything he does has some sort of meaning. Lupe did fuck up sometimes. One day he'll drop The Cool, one of his best albums, one of the best albums of the 2000s, and then he'll go and drop Lasers. So, you know, who knows? With Lupe, he tends to shock people. I didn't want to get too caught up in trying to correlate and find out every single underlying message and theme on this, because it would take too long. There's so many different interpretations on this album, and everyone has their own sort of interpretation, so I don't want to get too caught up in trying to explain and unravel all of the album. I just wanted to sit there and enjoy it and take some of the concepts that he was saying. He seems like a smart man. I don't agree with everything he says, but he is one of the more, I guess, conscious mainstream artists out there. I hate putting those labels on there. When it came to this album, I was not expecting trash. Food and Liquor 2 was okay. It was cool. Again, some of the production, that's where Lupe loses me a lot of the times, where it's like, oh, this is awesome, but the production kind of sounds like the same shit you just did in the last track. And the last track, that production wasn't even that great either. It sometimes feels like Lupe just picks production that just does the job. It's like, okay, this is gonna do the job. Now let me just try and carry it with my lyrics. You can't always do that. But this album, I was expecting him to step it up from his previous, I guess, 2 albums. It's kind of like Nas. I mean, Nas, sometimes on certain albums he'll have great production, like Untitled or Illmatic or Stillmatic, and then sometimes he'll just have some weird ass production and the lyrics are just like, what? Like, sometimes the production does seem a little bit too predictable, but I figured with this production, it just from the overall feel, I haven't heard any of the other singles that he came out. He's been saying that there was like 50 songs. There's supposed to be a Rick Ross and Big Crit feature. That shouldn't even happen. A lot of tracks that didn't even make the final cut, but I didn't listen to the singles anyway, so it wasn't like, oh, why wasn't that on there? But I did figure that this was gonna be a step up production-wise and lyric-wise. One thing that I was hoping for him to do on this album, which he didn't do, was to keep it shorter, because almost every Lupe project is damn near 16 tracks, and it's when you get to around like track 13, it's like, okay. I just would prefer that this was a little bit shorter, maybe two or 3 tracks shorter, but you know, whatever. My first impressions on this thing was like an 8. I was really impressed by the production choice. I don't know what the fuck he was talking about half the time, because, you know, he really went over my head on the first listen. Obviously, I'm not expected, you know, grasp these concepts first listen to it. And I had to go and watch fucking 50-minute interviews with DJ Ski and the one with Who Kid and Sway to get an idea of what the hell he was talking about. And one thing that I did notice overall is that a lot of the A lot of the tracks had triple and double entendres. So I was like, this is gonna take multiple listens to decipher. I will go backwards when I'm reviewing this album, because when I listened to it backwards, I got more of the concepts and I enjoyed the album a lot more than listened to it from track 1 to 16. So the winter section of the album, this was the more deeper, darker and harsher section of the album. Lots of references. This is because he did have video game and biblical references throughout it, but this was really the section where it was on this section mostly. Tracks like Adoration of the Magi or the Magi or the Maggie, I don't know what the fuck to pronounce it. The story of the three kings coming to Mary. Again, a reference to the Bible where he's making comparisons with video games and revival and the Bible, and the hooks referring to different albums with babies on it. When I saw it, I was like, oh, did he actually just do that? And when I rapped it, I was like, holy shit, like the hook was awesome. I love how he did that. And it was really good hooks. Again, something else that I noticed on the album, really good at crafting hooks. Lupe is usually really good at that, but this one especially. The line about the Genesis and the controllers and the 3-button or whatever, referring to the 3 major religions all stemming from the Book of Genesis, and he was referring to the Genesis controller. Crazy double entendre. This is where Lupe is being a fucking mastermind. Or on the song Madonna, where he's making references to Jesus' life and what he had gone through and hanging out with prostitutes, this and the other, into his eventual death. To kids living in Chicago and, you know, being raised by a single mom, you know, I guess Jesus being raised by Mary mostly. And again, it was being very harsh but very true in this section of the album. But instead of like outright just saying it to you, Lupe uses metaphors and metaphors and metaphors. A lot of digging that you have to go through. The way Lupe cross references, you know, the Bible and games to get his point across is, it gets his point across, but it's done in a witty way. Deliver and Chopper were also dope. Chopper, you know, this, I guess, Lupe's approach to ratchetness, it was really dope. I guess sort of like a posse cut. The hook was funny. It was like filet mignon, my Fustangs, whatever that was. I heard it and I was like, okay, Lupe, he can still be funny. I really like this track. The hook itself was just really funny, but I thought the production overall was really done well. Deliver was also a big metaphor with the pizza man not coming to the hood, but, you know, pizza being referred to dough, cheese, you know, money. So the money isn't reaching the poor communities. But Lupe is also saying that they reject his food for thought. Again, double and triple entendres in itself. But sometimes it does feel like Lupe is just saying metaphors just for the sake of saying metaphors that rhyme. Like, he'll say these super clever lines, but at the end of it doesn't really seem to all come together. That was on the track They.Resurrect.Over.New. And I was like, okay, Tron, another video game reference, Resurrect, another biblical reference. So I saw the direction he was gonna go to, but then I hear it and I'm just like, it just felt like a bunch of lines and metaphors that didn't really seem to come together, you know, about stirring a pot and this and the other. It just didn't really seem to come together for me. And that's where I give up on trying to figure out on what he's saying. Maybe I'm just too stupid and just went over my head, but I didn't really like that. The production overall, as far as the section of this album, a lot of them were DJ Dahi productions. You know, if you guys know, DJ Dahi, really good producer. He's been coming out, I guess, as of recently, I've seen him on a lot of productions that I really do like. So DJ Dahi did his thing as far as this section of the album where I saw his production. Again, they set a dark tone and it captured the essence of and what Lupe was trying to get across in each track. And it was a different way. It wasn't just mad and grimy. It was different approaches to it. And it was really done well. So I really did like this. This is like the food for thought, I guess, section of the album. And if I really want to be in that mood, I would go to the winter section. And the hooks all were done really well, in my opinion. Fall, these were the more personal, not as harsh tracks, but still food for thought tracks. No Scratches was using the metaphor of the car to compare it to the relationship and saying that they should walk away before they crash, make scratches on the car, before they make, I guess, damage, something that's still good. The track was cool, but I prefer Little Death more than No Scratches. Little Death was smoother. It had multiple themes and statements, from gay marriage to war to, you know, eating meat. It seems like chaos, but somehow he manages to control the chaos in some weird, clever way. I don't know, I just prefer the trumpets on Little Death than the guitar on No Scratches. Body work, I wasn't sure what this track was referring to. I don't know if it was talking about hip hop in general, or it was talking about skin color, racism, stereotypes. This again, another time where Lupe seems like he's just a little bit all over the place for me, and I don't really get the overall theme of it. But the song itself sonically sounded okay. I like the bass line and the solo sax at the end by Terrace Martin. Terrace Martin, you know, I've seen him on features. I know I saw him on the Kendrick song that he performed live. So I love Terrace Martin's sax solos. Prisoner 1 and 2 was fucking dope. This was easily up there with Mural as far as the best lyrical tracks on there. Man, the song, the whole song itself was just sung super well, man. From the hook to the beat change up, it was just to his ad-libs where he's going rah, rah. They made a beat out of the fucking jail closing or whatever. I'm like, yo, this is crazy. From talking about actual prison to racial profiling, the prejudice and feeling imprisoned himself as far as it'd be the record company, or again, him being racially profiled towards the end where he was rhyming from the perspective of the correctional officer to the actual prisoner, and showing both of their prejudices, not just focusing on the prejudice of the correctional officer to the prisoner, which does tend to happen most of the time, which people, well, I guess was the predictable way to look at it, but he also did it from the perspective of the prisoners' prejudices to the correctional officer, and how, but at the end of the day, they're both stuck in a prison in some way, shape, or form. Just the ways the drums start on the beat change, I was like, okay, this is gonna be some epic shit. I really like the production on Prisoner 1 and 2. The summer section of the album, I like all three of the summer tracks. I thought they were smooth. My favorite track as far as just being smooth was Dots and Lines. Really, really well done. Just really, I guess, sounding like really beautiful, harmonious. It just sounded really nice. But then once you actually see what he's talking about, dots and lines, not only talking about geometry, but also talking about dots and lines as far as signing a contract or not doing it. And it just seemed Lupe's really optimistic about being independent. That one was the best sounding track on the album, in my opinion. And then I guess the banjo shit was just kind of just in there, but it was really cool. I really like the production on Blur My Hands. But whenever you see S1 and M Phases usually do a track together, it's, you know, it's gonna be some dope production. I heard it and it sounded like some Kanye shit. I guess with the background vocal, the track was probably the most direct out of all of them, where he's just talking to his fans, I guess. That's how I took it. He was just talking about his fans and asking them to appreciate what he's doing on the album. And then the last or the first song, wherever which way you want to take it, Mural, was my favorite overall track on the whole album. He came kicking down the door. I've heard that sample over and over again. It's just so much to take in. From taking you to memories as a kid, to saying some, you know, a statement with truth in it, to just some clever wordplay. He went all over the place, drawing a lot of, I guess, pictures, you know, being your mural with the track itself. Or are we making more soil paintings, disloyal changeling, preoccupied with boil and goyle chasing, and foiling others' royal saintings? I sit back and watch the world through my eye holes of my oil paintings. I was like, what the fuck? Shit's crazy. So many quotables in just one track. I thought it was a phenomenal album, man. I haven't seen someone put so much thought to wordplay and allusions and concepts and themes. Like, it really seemed like he sat down and thought each skit, each line, each feature, each everything. I felt on this one, the production kept up, and if not, helped complement the tracks a lot better than it did before. But sometimes you still have those tracks where it's like, okay, this is okay. But for some reason, even with the production being stepped up, I don't find that much replay value in the album as a whole. Certain songs that I replay a lot, yes. But just the album as a whole, I don't know, for some reason I just don't find that much replay value on this one. Because there are a couple songs where I'm like, okay, this song's okay. Like, if I sit down and force myself, I'm like, okay, this is really dope. But for some reason, I guess I'm just not always in the mood to listen to Lupe like that, which does suck because I don't want to be skipping tracks when I'm listening to this album because it's like a whole experience in itself. But sometimes I just can't help it. I'm just like, oh, okay, that's what blew me away from this album. Just the amount of thought that went into it. That's why I appreciate this album so much. It might not have as much replay value as I'd like it to have, but I'm like, okay, this is actually a piece of art. Like it really feels like a piece of art, like a well thought out piece of work. And he's really poetic and metaphorical with his lines, sort of like, I don't know, like Lupe kind of reminds me of Nas in some sort of ways. That's just me. And I really like that, but I guess the sort of poetical rap is still there and he's still keeping that alive. He's still keeping it where you still have to dig through someone's lyrics. I wouldn't put a number on this album. This is one of the very few albums where I don't feel like putting a number on this album, because if I really feel like listening to the album, I'm like, this is great. But if it's just on shuffle, I'm like, okay, this song isn't as good. The songs as individuals just don't sound as well as individuals as they do in the whole album itself. So I guess if you're gonna listen to it a whole album, just know that I thought it was a really great project, but for some reason I just don't find myself going back to this album as much. There's just a lot to uncover in this album and I really appreciate that. I guess that's why there's not a lot of replay value, because I do enjoy rapping along to the music as well, and I can't really do that with Lupe. If I'm in the mood to listen to that, then it really does the job super well. I hate that it's like that, but it's just I can't help it. Other than that, man, super fucking quality album. But I am really excited to see what he does as an independent artist now. I think he's gonna do something really, really interesting with the next album now that he's independent, or whether he signs to some sort of label. However he does the next album, I'm really excited to see what he does. Really stopped up with the production. Sonically sounds a lot better. Lyrically, Lupe's usually there. Wasn't talking down as, you know, sometimes that he kind of does. I know people don't like that. It didn't feel like Lupe was talking down. He was more just presenting information. Follow the Instagram, follow the Twitter, all that shit in the description and here. I want to see what you guys thought about this album specifically, especially this album. Kind of seems like a little bit mixed emotions. Seems like most people did. If they didn't like it, they appreciate it at the very least. So I want to see what you guys thought about this album. If you guys felt the same thing I did, where it just didn't seem to have that much replay value, if it did. But man, I love the concepts and some of the wordplay and the fucking Genesis line, man. Oh man, that line is so dope. Really, really, really quality album, man. Good job, Lupe. Excited to see what you do next.